Hi, and welcome to Coping During the COVID Crisis. I'm Janet Gross. It's actually pretty usual for parents to start looking forward to the new school year about this time, and that's without COVID and just having all the kids out of school since mid-March. But even kids these days are kind of looking forward to going back to class. The big questions, though, when is that going to happen? What will it look like? And will it be safe? Dr. Roy Salgado, professor of counseling at the University of Holy Cross, is here to talk about that with us today and some of the anxieties that might go along with those questions. And obviously, as I just said, the big questions are when, how, what, all those things we don't know yet.
Right, and we don't know, and we're only a few weeks away from the start of the school year in all of our school systems, whether it's public, charter, private, parochial. All the different systems are all meeting, trying to figure out what to do and what it's going to look like. Is it going to be, a half day? Is it going to be a hybrid? Is it going to be a distance learning through telecommunication methods? They're still trying to iron out all of that, and it's important for parents to become aware of that. It's important for parents to stay on top of it and ask those questions now. We have a few weeks left before the semester starts, and we need to ask those questions. What is it going to look like, so that you're more informed and are able to prepare your child and all of your children of the varying grade levels of what it's going to look like and what the expectations are.
Yeah, and even those with plans in place, things change,
right,
as we know, so much with this virus, or the things we don't know about this virus, but we have plans and they are shattered.
Right.
We have to pull back, we move forward. So all these things, even the districts that are set, they may be tweaking.
Yes, and that's what we need to stay on top of it, and that's what we need to constantly check in. Check the website, look through our mail to see what notices they have sent to us, emails, look for all of that, and make phone calls and send those emails, ask the questions. You don't want to be caught off guard the day before, during orientation. Oh, this is what it's going to look like? I had no idea. Now I got to scramble and make plans.
Right.
And that's just going to produce even more anxiety, and then that's going to get transmitted to your children. It's important to know what the expectations are with plenty of time so you can talk about it, get yourself in that mindset of what it's going to look like, because it's not going to look like the start of last year. It's a different situation this go round. And so we're going to mitigate that anxiety if we know what to expect and what's expected of us.
Right, and if we plan ahead early, it'll help ourselves and our kids.
Absolutely.
Especially, there may be people still who are thinking homeschool, maybe.
Right.
Or, if there's an option for the, total distance learning.
And different schools are going to choose to do that. Certain schools are going to decide to go distance learning 100%. Others are going to do a hybrid. Others are going to do what you referred to during before the show as platooning, where they're going to have different groups go at different times according to the needs of the school and according to the school population.
I'm telling you, I've talked to some parents and they're concerned about the platooning thing because they have different grade levels, like maybe 3 kids and they're all in different schools or whatever.
And one thing that comes to mind for me with regard to that, if you have kids in the same school, for example, perhaps the school deciding to split the week up or the day up by last name, that way all the kids of the same family can go at the same time. Maybe half of the school, A through K, go in the morning, and then the second half of the alphabet go in the afternoon, whatever it is. But to come up with situations, with ideas that are helpful for families and not add to the stress.
Yes, because there's enough of that going around.
Right.
And so parents may have great ideas like that too. So that's why I think that's important for you to have a say. Just say it. And if they think it's a good idea or if they can build on that.
Yes. Parents need to advocate for their children and advocate for their needs and for the needs of their children. And they need to communicate with the schools. They can't be dependent on the schools stating, okay, this is how it's going to look, this is what we're going to do, and so come August, whatever, we're good to go, we're going to go this way, and then you're scrambling. Right now, you need to really advocate. You really need to give your ideas to the school, because you as parents perhaps have some ideas that they haven't thought of. And 2 heads are better than 1, 300 heads are better than that. We don't want too many people coming up with all sorts of different ideas, but there are certain ideas that perhaps might be helpful. And if you as a parent have an idea, talk to your school about it. Advocate for your kid and let them know what it is that would be helpful for your child to learn, because we want them to learn. We don't want this academic year to go by and have an opportunity where they could have learned and then just nothing takes place because we weren't prepared.
And I think that schools no one has gone through this before, and so I think they're ready for ideas. I think they're willing to take those ideas. In other school years, maybe they have it all set and it's a routine and all that, but I think now.
Yes, you know, I'm an educator and I'm open to people giving me ideas. I know that I don't know it all. And I know that I don't have all the ideas. And so I need to get resources and information from other people who do have ideas. And so I would imagine that administrators, principals, school counselors, faculty, they too are interested in getting ideas from parents and from the community in terms of what would be in the best interest of our students.
Mm-hmm. And when you said parents need to educate themselves too about what, you have to think about the things, especially for maybe younger children, about toys and, sharing toys and, you know, what if my child takes their mask off, or what if they won't wear them? You know, all those things are just got to be spinning around at people's heads.
Yes, and to that point specifically, if you have little ones, if you have kids that are in pre-K3, pre-K4, kindergarten, the way you have to explain the situation to them is going to be very different than you would to a fifth grader. Mm-hmm. And to expect a little one to wear a mask from 7:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon, it's not going to be possible. I can't imagine a teacher and the teacher's aide, you know, scrounging, oh, you have your mask, you need your mask.
Police,
you know, with 4-year-olds, it's just not possible. And so to be able to explain to a little one what the new school year is going to look like, what the expectation is, and what is required of them. And we need to be able to do that with plenty of time to reinforce it and repeat it over and over and over again. We as adults are struggling with having to do this, and we've been repeating it for several months now, and we still can see people that are not following the recommendations or the guidelines, and we're wanting and expecting this of little ones come this fall. We need to stay on top of it so that they too can be healthy and help slow the spread of COVID-19.
And so for these last few weeks, you have the opportunity as a parent to set an example. Like maybe you don't want to wear a mask when you're just walking here or there or whatever. If you do it, it shows that that's the right thing to do if you're the parent.
It's important.
Yeah.
And children understand. They understand more than you think. We don't give enough credit. 3-year-olds know about viruses and germs. I mean, you know, we teach them about washing your hands and that there's germs and that there's this invisible monster, you know, that can make us sick, and there's books about it. Perhaps reading books to your children about germs, about viruses in general, in a way that is understandable to them, that it makes sense and it's applicable to their real world scenario, and not touching toys, not touching things that other people have touched. And if they do, to wash their hands or make sure that the toy itself has been washed, and for they themselves to be a little more proactive in their space and in their own encounter with the things in their environment.
Mm-hmm. To help reinforce the behaviors.
Absolutely.
You know, how hard is it to teach a kid not to touch their face? Or put it in their, you know, whatever they pick up. And
constantly having to say, don't put that in your mouth, put that down, don't touch that, that's dirty. Like, don't touch your face, put your mask on, you dropped it, don't. It's a constant battle.
And there's no more 5-second rule. Whatever.
Right.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we'll have some more ideas and advice for parents on how to prepare their children for the new school year. Stay with us. Welcome back. This time around, the new school year will probably be a new and different school year, likely to look different, feel different, maybe even have a different timetable. But you can help prepare your kids to handle all of those changes and get yourself ready as well. Joining us now is Jamal Bodine, University of Holy Cross counselor. Thanks a lot for joining us, Jamal, and we appreciate you weighing in all this.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. Let's start. What can you as a counselor help tell parents as they are preparing their kids to go to a whole new deal?
Yes, ma'am. The school year is going to be way different than in the past. I would hope that parents would always have a conversation with their kids before school starts anyway, but the conversation is going to be different because we're dealing with something that we never dealt with before. So with the COVID-19 going on, parents are going to have the conversation of, teaching them how to, wash hands for 20 seconds and keep your mask on and stay your distance from your friends. And that conversation is going to be a challenging one because, kids are used to being social and going to recess and eating in the cafeteria. All of that is going to be kind of different with this coming school year. So those conversations are going to have to be truthful but appropriate. So you have to keep them appropriate to where you're not scaring the kids. Let them know what's going on, but keep that conversation on a kid level. You're going to have to talk to a pre-K child different. You're going to talk to a fifth grade child. So just noticing those barriers and realizing what I can say and what I can't say is going to try to keep my kids' anxiety and stress level down.
I guess you probably have to watch your own anxiety as well, because when you are, maybe upset about something that's happening with the school, or how am I going to work this out, or how is that going to work for my child? If you control yourself, then it helps them, and it also provides an example, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Parents are going to have to be that role model because kids learn what they see. So they're going to have to keep themselves calm in the manner so their kids can know, okay, my mom, my dad is calm about the situation, I can be calm about it too. But if they see you guys flaring up or, getting a little upset, because this can be agitating at some times, and we understand that as counselors, but helping them to realize that, okay, the situation, I don't have too much control over it, but I can control myself. And I can be that representation for my kids to stay calm in this process.
Right, and Roy, that's exactly what we were talking about kind of before, of controlling yourself and really, as you were saying, take control a little bit. So,
the more you're able to educate yourself and inform yourself, the more prepared you are. And the more prepared you are, the less anxious and fearful you become. You're able to regulate your emotions. If you get taken aback by something, if you're surprised, you may go into panic mode, and you go into fight or flight. And so no one is benefited by that situation.
Right. No winners in that one.
There's no winners in that one. And the more informed you are, the more of what you know what to expect from the school day, from the year, then you're able to transmit that to your kid and let them know this is what it's going to look like, this is what is expected of you, this is what we expect of the school, and you can approach it from a calmer standpoint.
Jamal, how important is it? Because, kids get back to school and it is probably you're going to revert to exactly the way it was last year. You see your kids, you see your friends, and, there's more interaction and everything. It's hard to go back and kind of stay away from that routine that you know so well as a child.
Yes, the rules are going to be very different. I can remember being in school, and when you see your friends on the first day, you can't wait to hug them. It's been a long summer without them, and that's going to be different. And those kids are not going to understand that, but they have to be taught that this is the new normal for now, y'all. So they're going to have to get together, and administrators and school leaders are going to have to come up with plans on how we can educate the children about the COVID-19 and ways we can stay safe, even though it's going to be challenging for those kids because kids are social. We teach kids to be social. We want them to have friends and get acquainted with each other. But due to this disease, we have to do everything differently. So how that process is going to go, we have to wait and see.
And every parent is going to have to be responsible for really educating each of their children, knowing what each of their children are like. Your child. And so letting them know what waiting for the bus is going to look like, what getting on the bus is going to look like, going up and down stairwells within the school, walking down hallways, in and out of classroom doors so that there's not too much of a congestion going on. There's all these different things that are going to need to be discussed and really planned out and thought of prior to ever participating in it. Some schools are going to be looking at whether to have cafeteria lunches or just eating at your desk in the classroom. And so just having these conversations with the children so they'll know what is expected of them, so that they'll know how to comport themselves in common spaces in school when moving about from one area to another.
And just as you mentioned, the bus, the kids who wait in line for the bus, they're not even in a line when you're waiting.
Right.
And there's no school supervision there. You have to make sure your kids know what to do, and that can't be an interaction. And then you get on the bus, and then everybody's,
Right, because everyone's going to have to be responsible for themselves in certain points, because to your point, there's not going to be supervision in certain areas. And so, if everything is going orderly in school and everybody's maintaining distance and wearing masks and not touching and washing their hands, but if there's a contagion that took place at the bus stop, then it's all shot.
Right, and now
everything. Right, so everything has to be really controlled and really well thought of and managed from point A, from point B, from the moment you leave your house to the moment you get back home at the end of the day.
Jamal, I know that you counsel people all the time, and I guess this is something that parents might need a little help with and managing. As we said, you got to keep yourself under control, but you've got maybe more than one kid at home. You have a lot of decisions to make. Is this something that counseling can help with, talking to somebody else about it?
Yes, ma'am. Counseling can really help with that situation. When it comes to parents dealing with the stress and anxiety, first of all, these kids have been home since March. So a lot of things have to be discussed and have a conversation about it. So to keep parents under control, you let them express those feelings to you, you validate those feelings, and you say, well, how can I help you calm your anxiety down? What can we do in session to help you teach your kids better ways to deal with the world now, since the world has changed? So yes, just giving them those suggestions of, talk to them about what's going on, talk to them about washing their hands, keeping their mask on, having Germ-X, hand sanitizer, all those things to keep, just let them know that you are safe and we're going to try to keep you safe by doing these things.
And I guess that's it's going to be helpful as the kids do go back to school too, because parents will worry, will be concerned. Maybe not so much worry, but they'll be concerned about how their child is doing in this new environment, right?
Definitely. The concern is going to be there. The anxiety is going to be there, waiting for your kids to come off the school bus. When they get inside, talk to them about how their day was. Did you wash your hands? Did you guys stay socially distanced? Keep that information going and that conversation going with them. Communication will be key in these next few months.
And like what we were talking about, you might want to make sure that the kids around them too, because they're going to be the big influence in school.
Right.
I'm not wearing a mask because they didn't wear a mask.
And just with any situation, you want to know who your kids are interacting with. You want to know your kids' friends. And so this is no different.
Really important now.
It's really important because it's a matter of health.
Okay. All right, Jamal, thank you so much for joining us and helping us through this. We'll be back in a moment with more ideas on getting ready for school. As we continue talking about preparing kids for the new and different school year, we want to bring in Dr. Michaela Hartline. She's a counseling professor at the University of Holy Cross. And thank you for joining us, Dr. Hartline. We appreciate your input into all of this. And wanted to know if we could talk just for a second, too, about the counseling service. Roy, it's offered by the University of Holy Cross free.
Yes.
During this time.
Absolutely, and it's free throughout the entire year. And we don't take a pause during the summer months, so we're continuing to offer that service, and we are doing telebehavioral health free of charge to people in the state of Louisiana. And so anyone who has any questions about how to advocate for their children and how to start the new school year and any anxieties that you may have, and you think you might need a third party to kind of help you iron all that out, we're here and available to you so that you can make a most informed decision when dealing with your children starting the new school year.
And it's a very easy process. You just call the number, and we have the number during the show. You can see it at the bottom of the screen right now, in fact. So you can call the number, set up an appointment.
Yes, and the administrative system would take that call, triage it to the clinical director, who would then assign it to a counselor, and we'll get back to you and work with you on your presenting issue.
Perfect. Okay, Dr. Hartline, are you with us here?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me again.
Sure, thank you so much. We've been talking about helping parents help their kids in the new school year, and I know this hits home for you too, because you're a parent and you're looking at what the school is offering, and you have to explain that to your children too.
Yeah, it's a difficult time. You know, there are a lot of things that students learn outside of just academics when they go to school. You know, there's social behaviors and, you know, to be able to interact, but how that's going to look differently now when they are going back to school in August. You know, they have to remain 6 feet apart, they have to wear masks. You know, things that when we're in the comfort of our home for this time, they don't have to do. Now they're going to be required to do that for an extended period of time, and explaining to them the importance of making sure that they maintain that social distance and wearing your mask at all times for their protection, which sometimes can be hard depending on the age of your child, because you don't want to scare them, but you want them to realize the importance of those things.
So many things come out of those years at school. Obviously education, but the social development, and it's so different between your preschooler up to your high schooler, your teenager.
Yeah, it definitely is. You know, they learn how to share and they learn how to have conversations, and you know that social aspect is definitely going to be different moving forward. And you know, their last school year it stopped so abruptly that, you know, they're excited to see their friends, but still the importance of being safe at the same time is going to be important and difficult to manage at the same time for the educators.
You know, and we have to remember that we each only get one childhood. Children, human beings, only get one childhood. And the childhood that they experience is in large part due to the adults in their lives and what it is that we do to help shape the childhood, to create the conditions where they feel safe and secure and have the knowledge and the skills necessary to grow up happy and healthy. And this is an opportunity for us to be able to maintain that innocence and that childhood, and to be able to go to school in the way that it's going to look and feel safe and secure, and know that the measures that are being put in place are for no other reason but to keep them healthy, but to keep them safe, and for them to grow up knowing that their parents, their teachers, their community has done this so that they can stay safe. Different generations have faced different crises at different points in our history. You know, during the Great Depression, that generation grew up in very extreme economic hardship, and that helped shape them during their one childhood. Other generations grew up during the Cold War and having to duck and cover and going through that in their formative years, and that impacted their development. This is another event happening in our history where children are being impacted and being formed. And we need to be mindful of that and to not scare them, not form them to develop any types of phobias with regard to germs or viruses or things of that nature, but to educate them so that they can make healthy decisions for themselves while interacting with their peers at school, at recess, in the cafeteria, in the classroom, on the bus, whatever that may be.
So as we talk to children, we obviously don't instill fear, but do we kind of give an end date to them? Not an end date, but an end time to this. This is not forever. We will do this until we can be sure you're safe. Is that something to tell kids?
I think it's important. You know, they have a lot of questions. They want to know what's going on. And depending on the age of your child, depends on how much you may share with them. Like you said, in my personal experience, I know my child and I know what she can and cannot take. So I do let her know that, you know, hopefully there is an end. And, you know, we've tried to keep her up to date to relevant of an 11-year-old. So that way she does. You know, they have a lot of questions just like we do. And the unknown is scary. So the more that we can educate them in a safe way and to their age and their development, I think that would be important for them.
And individuals, children are no different, respond to their circumstances when they're informed. Even the most intimidating and scariest of situations are more palatable and easier to handle if you know what you're dealing with. It's when you're taken aback and surprised that we don't know how to respond so effectively. The more we know, the more we're empowered and we're able to make more informed decisions, even little ones.
And I guess if they have some sort of an idea of, well, I can help protect myself, I can help with this.
Right.
Maybe that's
right. I'm killing the monsters, the germs, that virus, that COVID. I'm with soap and water, or with my antibacterial soap, I'm able to do this and turn it into a game and make it something that a child can identify with and understand and take it to that level. Answer their questions. They may have questions, just as we're talking about it, they're listening. They may not be engaging in conversation with us in the same way that we are with one another, but if they're around, they're listening and they're picking up any anxiety or fear, and we need to find out what that may be and then help appease that by asking them questions and addressing it accordingly.
Dr. Hartline, I guess that's also with telling them to be aware of people and to stay back 8 feet or 6 feet. You don't want to scare them with that. You just want to inform.
Correct. Yes. Inform them. And just like you said, they are protecting themselves, but they're protecting their loved ones around them, whether it's grandparents or things of that nature. You're protecting them also. They're the at-risk population at the moment. So doing those things to protect yourself is also going to protect your family. So it kind of gives them, a sense of responsibility to be mindful of those things.
Right, so they can play their part as well.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, and we thank you for joining us, Dr. Hartline, and for putting your voice in here, because it's important, and
Well, thank you for having me.
we appreciate it. Okay, Dr. Salgado, you have some tips for us.
Yes.
About just kind of keeping this under control as we go into the new school year.
Well, everything we do serves as a model for our children. We model everything in terms of our behaviors and our actions, and so we don't want to scare children by every time we interact with somebody who's like, oh, stay away, stay 6 feet.
Right,
we don't want to over-exaggerate things. We want to just engage with people in the way that we need to engage to stay healthy, and so know each of your children and present to them the information necessary with regard to washing hands and maintaining that social distance. Inform yourself. Keep constant with the information that's out there. We want to stay abreast week after week, because this is a fluid situation. Assess your personal situation. Every family situation is different, and so what's good for you and what's necessary for you is not necessarily the case for someone else. Have an emergency plan in place. We need to have that in place in the event that someone in our family gets sick or someone around us acquires the contagion. How do we respond to that? Maintain personal hygiene, washing your hands. Practice physical distancing or social distancing, and cover your mouth and nose with a mask whenever you're out in shared public spaces. And to the extent that we can do that, we can help slow the spread of COVID-19 and mitigate the contagion.
And all these things we do are an example to our kids.
Most certainly.
Because if we don't do it, we can't expect them to.
Right. Everything we do teaches, and we need to model what we expect from our children.
And so how we behave during the school year, I guess, is also going to be a help to them. If they come home and we're all frantic about, what happened? What did you do? What did you? Oh no!
Right.
What
They need to see how we interact with other people, how we interact with our neighbors, how we interact with other family members who don't live in the same household as we do, how we interact with the grocery store clerk. They need to see how we're doing that, and then they in turn will begin to model that as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Roy Salgado, for joining us, and all your colleagues at the University of Holy Cross, and helping us talk through these issues. And we thank you for watching. We want to help as we are all coping during the COVID crisis.